And guys, what is going on? How y'all doing today on this decent weather-wise Sunday? I gotta say, we've had some rain off and on here, but this is the Club of the Man 1993, and I'm coming at you live for the third edition of my NXT Retro Review series, as we're talking about NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way 2014. That took place on September 11th, 2014 at Full Sail University. I'm going to take bulk of that, of course, everything that happened again in this retro live review. As I keep saying, this is the third of 16 retro takeover reviews I'm going to do, as I'm reviewing all NXT pay-per-views that I either haven't watched or I've watched but I haven't reviewed on this channel, which again is from NXT Arrival till NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3, because the first takeover I ever reviewed on this channel was Takeover War Games 1. So we're on number 3 as I started this series Friday night. Overall, Fatal 4-Way I thought was a good show. I gotta say, out of the first 3 so far, and out of all the ones that I've reviewed on his channel, this is probably one of the weaker ones. I mean, it was still a good show, but one of the weakest. I mean, I still gotta see, I mean, once I'd say some of the weakest are maybe this one so far. Like San Antonio's definitely, one of the weaker ones, I feel. Orlando, maybe. I'm not sure. I can't say Orlando's one of the weakest ones, but definitely not one of the strongest ones either. Yeah, just a couple of them I'd say, and maybe take over the end also. Those are my ones I kind of say a little bit like the weaker, some of the candidates like the weakest pay-per-views so far, but they're still all good shows. I'd say all takeovers, at least deserve like a B- or a B grade. I'd say like at the lowest. This one was good. It was good, but it wasn't great. We had 2 matches I thought that were on the greater level. Of course, the women's title match, which was, I wouldn't say it was like a B+ match. I think a B or B+ match, I'd say. The main event, though, I thought was a really, kind of raised this up a little bit, because I think I was close to maybe getting this one, like just like a B-, but I gave this one a B because of that main event. That main event was a really awesome Fatal 4-Way match, of course, setting up for what takes place at the next TakeOver Our Evolution, which, of course, the main event match, I know what happens after the match at that show, but I've never seen the actual match in that main event of that show, and I cannot wait to watch that one next. But, of course, let's get right into it. First, check the live chat. We got Tyler. What's up, Tyler? Also, I may be able to get one more in before tonight. Well, probably not before this night, but I actually am going to be getting together with one of my good buddies tonight. He did purchase AEW Double or Nothing last night. So he invited me over to watch it with him again tonight, and sending it to watch it yesterday because I was at the Pirate game. But I may be doing, if depends on how I know the show is good. Depending on if I feel like I can talk about it, I may come home tonight and do a review on AEW Double or Nothing. So stay tuned for that, of course, later on. And if not, then I'm not sure if I would do it. I mean, I'll let you guys know for sure if I'm going to do it or not, but I may not be able to do it tonight because I got to get up early tomorrow because I do a lot of stuff for Memorial Day. And so, of course, we'll talk about that, of course, when it gets to, this week, because there's going to be a little bit of a weird schedule this week for me. But anyways, let's talk about TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. We opened up this show, which, by the way, this show actually took place 2 weeks, apparently, after William Regal was named new general manager of NXT. Before him, it was JBL. So commentary team was a little bit different. Because before, the commentary team was Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton, and Regal. But now it is Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton, and Renee Young on commentary. Of course, definitely sounds better on commentary than she does like right now on Raw, because, one, her husband was on the show, it made it awkward, and two, she doesn't really say much. Obviously, because Vince probably keeps her quiet, and of course, you don't have Vince in her ear. You have, Triple H or someone else more worthwhile, worthy of hearing in your ear, or just letting them, run free and saying whatever the hell they want to. Not talking about, whatever Vince wants you to talk about. But anyways, the show opened up with a solid NXT tag title match. The Ascension taking on the Lucha Dragons, Kalisto and Sin Cara. Obviously, though, at the beginning of the NXT days, one of the things that was kind of weak was tag team wrestling. They didn't really have too many established tag teams in NXT. So, of course, they had the Ascension, who, was in NXT was a great team. they were big. They were like an '80s bruising type NXT type tag team, basically. Just two big men in there, basically running wild on the division. Okay, yeah, they weren't the greatest. Of course, WWE exposed them of that on the main roster. Which it could have still been something good. Again, I still cannot believe that I was predicting the Usos to drop the tag titles to the Ascension at WrestleMania. And when WrestleMania came around, the Ascension were nowhere close to be found to those tag titles. Jeez, oh man, was that bad for them. But they had this match with the Lucha Dragons, Kalisto, and Sin Cara. Obviously, a few months earlier, when it was at NXT TakeOver, they had a match with the Ascension taking on Kalisto and El Local, who was Ricardo Rodriguez, but Rodriguez got released in July from WWE. So he had a new tag team partner, of course, with Sin Cara, who never really been a big Sin Cara fan. A lot of people never really been a Sin Cara fan either, basically. But obviously, again, this kind of had the feel of like, how it is in NXT UK with James Drake and Zach Gibson. Although, James Drake has been getting better, I still feel, that's more of like a consolation prize for Zach Gibson, since you can't give him like a mid-card title right now. Because obviously, the real star in that tag team is Zach Gibson. The true star in the Lucha Dragons tag team was Kalisto. And I thought it was a solid back and forth match. Of course, obviously, it is the theme with a couple of these matches. Well, two of these matches on the show. They had the Ascension, who have been champions for 344 days. For the first time in a while, I feel like they're being threatened. Of course, they're already heels, so they can't really completely go another route basically with this, just to protect themselves, like somebody did in the main event of this show. But I thought it was still a good, solid back and forth match. Again, the parts with Kalisto were there, the crowd was into it. When Sin Cara was in there, it wasn't as much. More so just giving Kalisto a breather, basically. But like I said, for the Lucha Dragons, it seemed like more so a team now that I watch in NXT and read reviews. A lot of people more so think that this was just a way to give Kalisto something to do, since he was a true star here in this tag team. Just needed somebody else to string him along. But eventually, though, the Lucha Dragons win whenever Kalisto hits the Salida del Sol on the Ascension, and once again ending their 344-day reign as NXT Tag Team Champions. So we had that happen there. So congratulations to them. We then had a squash match for the debut of Baron Corbin. This was Baron Corbin's NXT debut. Of course, this one he's had the motorcycle sounding theme song, the tattoos, the hair. He was actually a dominating-looking monster in the ring, and not, just a corporate bald-headed idiot going like, "Yay! Oh, this is pathetic." Nope. Saw this. He squashed TJ Parker in like a couple seconds. He went at the end of the day. It's just a dominating way for his debut. And of course, he was getting like a "Thank you, Corbin" chant. People actually were digging him, of course. And of course, then he came over to Raw in the Superstar Shakeup last year, and now look where he is now. People can't stand him, and I can't stand him, unfortunately. But I saw this, I'm like, I miss this Baron Corbin. This is the Baron Corbin I miss. The Baron Corbin we were getting on SmackDown in 2016, up until he failed to cash in his briefcase, and then he just went completely downhill. But then, of course, didn't crash completely until he got over to Raw in 2018. And now he's just, being used as like a permanent figure on Raw, but, he's being booked in a way we can't stand him at all whatsoever. And that's unfortunate. But yeah, he squashed TJ Parker. Oh boy. We had this match next. I kind of get why they did it, putting over this team more for their comedy. Because, let's be real. This team, of course, eventually in like a year or so would be one of NXT's hottest acts for sure. Unfortunately, it didn't quite get that way on the main roster, and now they're in Ring of Honor now because they appeared at the G1 event that happened, Summit, or not G1 Summit, the G1 ROH event, whatever it was called, at Madison Square Garden the day before WrestleMania 35, which, of course, I was staying in a hotel right across the street from that. Anyways, but Enzo and Cass. Obviously, this match was meant to put over Enzo and Cass's comedy. Just their microphone skills being put out there. They had this match against Sylvester. What's this guy's name again? Sylvester Lefort. And his corner was some guy like Marcus Lewis or something like that, if that was his name. And it was a hair versus hair match. So first off, yes, okay, Enzo Amore on the microphone, but Enzo Amore was the one actually wrestling the match, not Big Cass. Singles match, I would rather have it be Big Cass because, Enzo was more so just all talk and not really much in the ring, you know what I mean, as a single star. As we all know that, again, just watch his Cruiserweight Championship run, which I still cannot get to this day, why they gave him a run with the Cruiserweight Championship. But we have this match. It's only 6 minutes, and Enzo wins. Obviously, and they had this segment, of course, they showed from NXT a few weeks recently, where there was somewhere, and and I guess they tried to dump the shaving cream or whatnot on Sylvester LaForte. Instead, they accidentally dump it on Carmella's dog. That sucks for that. But okay, so Enzo wins, and then they're trying to get Sylvester LaForte into the chair to shave his head. But LaForte basically, shoves Lewis, pretty much leaves Marcus Lewis hanging instead. So Enzo and Cass just beat him down before they dump the bucket on his head. And then he runs off. So at the moment, it's like, okay, what was the point of that if, the person who lost doesn't even, get shaved? Like, it looked like no one really got over there. Or then again, Enzo and Cass's, skip microphone skills, getting, big pops and whatnot. Of course, they were still, not doing the same, like flow as it usually does. Like Big Cass didn't go, there's only one word to describe you. He's like, there's only one word to describe you, and we're gonna spell it out for you. Like, again, it was weird hearing it that way because it obviously was not the same way they would do it today. Watch what was with Brock winning the Money in the Bank briefcase or Shane winning the World Cup. I don't know. Again, well, World Cup was for Shane to turn heel. Brock winning the briefcase, I didn't like that. So yeah, that was weird. So for the time being, it seemed like nobody got their head shaved. We continue on, though, as we then had the newest NXT general manager, William Regal, come out and introduce a video package on the latest, biggest signing to NXT, which was Hideo Itami. Well, it came out as Kenta, as he was well known for. So Itami comes out, and he gets on the microphone, and he first says what he wanted to say in Japanese. And of course, I just heard Hideo Itami somewhere in there. I'm like, I wonder, why, if he's being introduced as, if he's coming out and being introduced as his name is known well around the world, Kenta, I'm like, what's his reason for changing to Hideo Itami? Well, then he starts talking in English, though, saying that coming to WWE was a dream come true. Which, for sure was, unfortunately, again, that big injury he got, though, right before TakeOver Unstoppable, unfortunately, did kind of, ruin the plans they had for him. And then he had suffered a second injury. It kind of, he just fell out of the shuffle, basically, and led him to just settling, being, put on 205 Live, which, again, I really thought he was starting to get somewhere on 205 Live with that alliance with him and Daivari, before, unfortunately, he got released after that. But, hopefully he's doing great wherever he's doing now. AEW maybe. But we'll see. But anyway, so he comes out and said that coming to WWE has been a dream come true. He wants to start over, though. As a tribute to one of his heroes, he would like to be known here as Hideo Itami. Sounds good to me. He also wants to be NXT champion, which he would have been if he at that Japan special in the summer of 2015 if he did not get hurt. Because, again, Finn Balor's run was the run that he was supposed to have. But anyways, then out came the Ascension. They tossed Itami to the floor. And then they demand Regal for a rematch for their tag team championships. But then Itami got back in the ring, and he literally just, beat the ever-living piss out of them in a 2-on-1 beatdown. He didn't poke around. He got in there and just took them out, got a nice pop, was showing off his hard striking abilities, and the crowd loved it. We got that. We then had, what was this? This match with Mojo Rawley and Bull Dempsey. No one seemed to really care about this match. I never really cared about Bull Dempsey the few times we ever really saw him, in the ring. But yeah, it was basically, a squash match. Dempsey won. That's all I really remember about it. But then we had backstage, we see Enzo and Cass searching for Sylvester LaForte and Marcus Lewis. And Enzo's beefing because he knows he won, but he needs to see some ball to feel like he won. They then see, LaFour and Lewis, who now has his head underneath a towel because he got all that shaving cream dumped on his head. And then they try to chase down LaFour, but LaFour runs off, and once again Lewis gets fed to him. They bring Lewis into the arena with a towel still on his head. They then pull a towel off Lewis, who then has a wacky looking haircut due to the shaving cream. So basically, the guy who really lost didn't get his head shaved, but his partner in crime does. So, all right, whatever. Somewhat not a complete waste, but I don't know. It just wasn't a huge fan of that really on the show. It was one of the probably my least favorite thing on the show. Well, besides that squash match with Dempsey and Raleigh, that was kind of pointless to me. But anyways, we then had the NXT Women's Championship match. Charlotte taking on Bayley. And of course, when she came out and I realized that Byron Sachs was on comedy, he said the wacky inflatable tube but things where he called much better sounding than the wacky inflatable Bayley buddies, as he always says, which just again, this sounds like he's just had a little too excited there. But anyway, so Bayley came out. Obviously, the little story going to this match is Bayley had won some little tournament to become the number one contender for the NXT Women's Championship after she defeated Sasha Banks. But of course, Sasha Banks wanted Bayley to prove it was a fluke. Around this time, it seemed that Sasha Banks had some little BFF things going on. I can't remember, best friends. I can't remember what exactly the stable was called, but it was her and Summer Rae. And then Charlotte seemed to have briefly joined the stable as she turned on Bayley in a tag match after Bayley won. Just, making fun of Bayley for, being that fangirl who wants the opportunity. But of course, this is Bayley being that fangirl, but being serious. Like the Bayley we're getting now. This is the Bayley, of course, we got in NXT. But so that basically happens there. And yeah, I thought this was a good match. I can't say it really hit the note. Well, it definitely didn't hit the high note like Sami Zayn and Cesaro. The typical putting over the underdog very strong in a loss, but giving us that more of a feel for Bayley giving this women's title shot. But a good way to build sympathy for Bayley as an underdog, because we know the journey she went on for the next about year, 11 months or whatnot, to get back into the NXT Women's title picture. Well, that's kind of false because she was in the Fatal 4-Way at the next pay-per-view, which we will talk about that, of course. Was it next pay-per-view or the following pay-per-view? One of the two pay-per-views, wherever the Fatal 4-Way with all four horsewomen. But Bayley, came up short. She definitely, was coming close at some points, but then Charlotte eventually, after I think Bayley went for, try to do something on her in the corner. She then went face first to the turnbuckle, and then Charlotte capitalized by hitting the natural selection on her to retain the championship. So it's still a good match, but I wouldn't say not as good as the ones maybe the weakest women's title match we've gotten so far, but still it was a good match. Not saying I didn't like it. It was saying out of the three we've seen so far for the first three NXT pay-per-views, probably the weakest one of all the women's matches. But afterwards, down came Sasha Banks, who again, recently, Charlotte seemed to be part of, Sasha's little clique. And Sasha, of course, goes to beat down on Bayley. Man, of course, can I not wait to watch that match again when I get to TakeOver Brooklyn 1. And once again, the match we should have been getting on the main roster for the women's title, but probably not going to be getting it because Sasha's probably trying to wait till she can, go straight to AEW. But anyways, she starts to beat down on Bayley, but then Charlotte, to our surprise, gets back in the ring and pulls Sasha off of Bayley. Doesn't attack Bayley, but it just stops her from doing it, showing a little bit of respect for Bayley. So I'm guessing Charlotte kind of, turned face again. I don't know. It seemed like she was somewhat heel, but not full on heel, if you know what I mean. I mean, the first two TakeOver, can't say TakeOver because the first wasn't a TakeOver, it was just a pay-per-view, but it was called NXT Arrival. But I can say that, at times in NXT, they gotta bring a little bit of humanity. They brought some humanity in there, and putting people over for their talents, whether or not what your character is, and at least it makes some sense. It's like expose the product and make it like look bad, what not. But definitely like this pay per view for sure, and like, even like moments like when Tyson Kidd, at Takeover, just didn't even bother to like accept the respect from Neville. Well, Adrian Neville. Okay, I used to call him Adrian Neville, but like moments like that where you gotta get story involved. We also have moments like this where respect is put over for the competitors in the ring and saying, hey, they're a future big star in this business for sure. So I know this eventually sets up for that, and I know eventually at Takeover Unstoppable, Charlotte and Bayley do team up against Emma and Dana Brooke. Which also we actually think we saw Dana Brooke backstage during this show when he saw Tyler Breeze getting ready when it was like 3-1 with him. One that I believe was Dana Brooke. But that was that match there. And then we also announced, of course, that at the next episode of NXT, Hideo Itami was going to be making his in-ring debut. And then we had our main event. It was an NXT Championship Fatal 4-Way. Adrian Neville versus Sami Zayn versus Tyler Breeze versus Tyson Kidd. So at the last pay-per-view, Tyler Breeze won the number one contenders match against Sami Zayn, number one contender. I guess eventually they did have the match, but then eventually, those two feuds between Neville and Tyson Kidd, and Adrian Neville and Tyson Kidd, and then Tyler Breeze, Sami Zayn kind of came together for this Fatal 4-Way. As obviously, Neville wanted to prove that he can beat all three of these superstars. Well, he did have singles matches against them, and he beat them all. But then, of course, they this was the Fatal 4-Way. He wanted to prove he can beat all three of them at the same time. And of course, it was also advertised. I can't remember if I remember seeing this match on Raw or not, but it was advertised like recently, which I had to have seen it because, of course, I was watching full time around this time. Well, yeah, I was returning. I've been watching full time about a year around this time. But there was a tag team match on Raw. Adrian Neville and Sami Zayn teamed up against Tyler Breeze and Tyson Kidd just to kind of like showcase their talents and advertise. Hey, come watch the WWE Network and watch the NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way pay per view. Which of course a lot of people had the red arrow trending. And again, Neville was someone who, wasn't just, just a shoo-in, immediately, just, loved and everything when first champion. He had to earn, prove himself at some points. And this was one way he really had to prove himself for sure. But of course, this was the first time he obviously showed, he kind of pulled an Asuka in this match, showing that he felt that for the first time, his championship reign was in jeopardy. But we'll get to that shortly. As this match, the first half wasn't bad, wasn't great, but I'd say there was a turning point in this match. I felt where this match really picked up. This is like a 25-minute match, and the most notable thing I can remember that happened during the first half of this match was when Sami Zayn kind of got his comeuppance on Tyler Breeze because of the finish from the previous match at TakeOver. Whenever Tyler Breeze kind of put his hands up and got like a nut shot in on Sami Zayn when Sami was doing the haluva kick on Tyler Breeze, and eventually for Tyler Breeze to win. But Sami Zayn took out Tyler Breeze with his cell phone, grabbed Tyler Breeze's cell phone, took a selfie, and then chucked it into the crowd, which was a pretty nice spot there. There's also some times where Tyson Kidd and Tyler Breeze kind of, teased an alliance and formed it a little bit, doing some suplexes on Neville and Sami Zayn outside the ring. Obviously, they went after Neville first to get him out of the equation first before they working on Neville before they eventually, went against each other, basically. And of course, I didn't notice until tonight, but the reason why, of course, Tyson Kidd wears those headphones is just to zone out the whole Natty's husband chants and whatnot that you always get. I did not know that until I watched this show. But of course, eventually, Neville got back into the equation. There was, just some great back and forth, Fatal 4-Way action, typically we get going on. I'd say this match really, before I get there, for most of the next, second, quarter of the match, it seemed like it was a lot of, Tyson Kidd. Tyson Kidd got a lot of the spotlight, I felt, the second quarter of the match, which is fine for sure. Again, just continuing that story of how, he's been overlooked on the main roster, so he wants to kind of, get get that way up back up the ladder and starting by platform himself as the NXT champion to give him that that recognition. Of course, he failed to do so at TakeOver, so now he's turned heel and got a little more of a nasty side to him. But I'd still say the turning point of this match. Everybody obviously wanted to see a match with Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville for the NXT Championship. They teased it, of course. They went at it for like a few seconds before the heels got back involved. But the turning point of this match was when Sami Zayn went for his dive over the top rope and his forward flip and taking out the heels and whatnot he's going to do. He was about to do that before Adrian Neville climbed back up, jumped and like stood like right in front of the ropes. Sami was going to dive over, halted Sami, and did like a moonsault backwards to take them both out. That's where I'm like, okay, this is about to get down and more serious. As there are a lot of reinforcements. Like Tyler Breeze had some moments he shined as well. My favorite spot with Breeze was whenever he kind of went on like a beauty shot, a supermodel kick, a parade and whatnot, taking out all three of them, going for typical, one kicked out, the next one kicked out, next kicked out, whatnot. Of course, there's also a moment where Neville, which got something for the Red Arrow, did a shooting star press instead, or a reverse shooting star press, or whichever one you want to call it. And after he landed it on, I think it was Tyson Kidd, he pulled him out. He pulled Neville out and tried to pin him instead. But then of course there was that that multi-person suplex that Sami Zayn thought he had Tyson Kidd pinned, but Tyson kicked out there. And so it's a little great action. But of course, the eye opener, obviously that really set up for TakeOver Our Evolution, started to build for that match at Our Evolution, was right at the end where Sami Zayn had the haluva kick hit on Tyson Kidd. Tyler Breeze was out of the ring. Adrian Neville been taken out outside the ring. We thought he was all gone. I think he was even taken out and he was being knocked into the crowd or something. Neville was, but Sami Zayn hit that haluva kick on Tyson Kidd. He has him pinned. You feel Sami Zayn has won it. That feel he puts on these fantastic matches, but it always comes up a bit short. And it happened again. Neville pulled an Asuka like he did, not exactly the same. Well, somewhat the same. Like, remember at TakeOver Orlando when Ember Moon was setting up for the Eclipse, and Asuka gets up and pushes the referee into the ropes for Ember Moon to fall, and lose her spot and whatnot, leading to Asuka getting the victory. Adrian Neville, when he's about to hit the 3 count for Sami Zayn to win the NXT Championship, Neville yanks the referee out of the ring. And then, Sami gets out what's going on, and Neville super kicks him. And then he hits the Red Arrow on Tyson Kidd to retain the NXT Championship. But obviously, that slight heel turn that Neville did, he didn't go full on heel, but that slight heel turn he did to set up for the match at Our Evolution, and we will be going there next. And I cannot wait to watch that show. That is definitely one TakeOver that I've always wanted to watch that I've never gotten to watch yet. It's Our Evolution, because that main event and what happened after that main event, of course, set up to one of the best feuds at the time in NXT history. And still, in my opinion, one of the best feuds in NXT history for sure. But do the best and worst match types stipulations. I think that that is one I'm due for to do as well. So that's a good suggestion there, Tyler. But guys, that is it for my live retro review of NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. Again, probably the weakest one I've seen so far in this review series, and definitely one of the weaker ones of all time. I give it a B, because we've had a bunch of again the tag team match game was solid. Wasn't great, but it was solid. Corbin's match was a dud. Well, it did the right thing for him. The hair versus hair stuff wasn't a big fan of, and I wasn't really a big fan of the Bull Dempsey and Mojo Rawley match. But of course, Kenta, Hideo Itami, getting introduced was nice. And Charlotte and Bayley had a good match, and the Fatal 4-Way match was awesome. I love that match. Not sure if I'd say it was a classic, but definitely at least like an A- level match. Maybe a classic. I'm not sure. It wasn't quite a classic level for me, but yeah. So B for NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way. Next up is TakeOver Our Evolution. I cannot wait to watch this one. So I'll probably view that either later on tonight or sometime tomorrow. But again, I'll probably be on maybe about 2 hours or 2 or 3 hours. So we go over to Dan's to watch AEW's Double or Nothing. So it depends on, if I feel I can talk about it. I may be up here live after when I get home tonight to talk about AEW Double or Nothing as well. So stay tuned for that as well. Come, guys. And then Raw review will be sometime on Monday. Tuesday night, though, I am doing some stuff with friends, so I will not be able to review SmackDown immediately after SmackDown. I probably have to catch the highlights for that. So that'll be on SmackDown. And then the typical stuff for the rest of the weekend. Of course, my NXT TakeOver 25 predictions will be, preview predictions will be sometime probably Thursday or something like that. And again, I will not be able to watch NXT TakeOver 25 next Saturday because I have to work and I have to be up really early the following morning. So I'll probably won't be able to watch TakeOver 25 till later today, next Sunday, and I will review TakeOver 25 later today. That's Sunday. So just getting that out there again. But I'll try to be up here for at least, TakeOver Our Evolution review later on, but I will also try maybe do an AEW Double or Nothing review as well. So, guys, once again, what are your thoughts on NXT TakeOver Fatal 4-Way 2014? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. If there's always slap a like on my video, subscribe or comment on my channel, follow me on Twitter @DeMayor93, and check my WrestleMania Experience documentary found in the description box down below. And next up again for the fourth of these retro NXT TakeOver reviews will be NXT TakeOver Our Evolution. Cannot wait to review that show. So until then, guys, I will see you guys all later. Have a great rest of your day. And again, I'll see you later for either Our Evolution review or AEW Double or Nothing review. So until then, guys, have a rest of your day. Peace out, everybody.